I knew I had to get out. I had the full support of my mother. My father didn't want to let me go. He wanted me to go. When he finally agreed that I would go, he wanted me to go to England, but I insisted to go to Palestine, and eventually he concurred. He brought me to Switzerland, where a family who brought their daughter to Palestine took me with them. And I remember when I landed in, one thing was very interesting about the trip. The boat took off from Trieste, but it went around to Naples for some reason or another. And I remember hiring a guide. I thought I was fully grown up at that time. And I hired a guide to take me to Pompeii. And I hired a guide, I was only 13 years old, to take me to Capri. And I vividly remember enjoying it and being able to do it. And subsequently, obviously, we landed in Palestine. And the day I landed in Palestine, the Mura'ot broke out. Mura'ot means, translated, the disturbances. What it really meant that Arab revolutionaries, or whatever you want to call them, now we call everybody we don't agree with terrorists, attacked the bus. And in short, there was retaliation to and fro. And I remember from the time I went to Shemen, which was an agricultural school, there was sniping at the school, which was like a kibbutzah. Kibbutzah is a small settlement. And it consisted of 4 groups, Group A, Group B, Group C, and Group D. And I was in Group D. And it was an interesting school. We worked for half a day, and we learned for half a day. And my first coming there was a real miserable experience for me, because they were all healthy, dark, sunburned kids, muscular. And I was a skinny little guy. The other day I mentioned it to Dawn, who's my sister-in-law, and I said I felt like a little white frog, and they were all big black frogs. And I was terrified. The shower was a communal shower. We all took a shower there, and that was the first time I was naked in front of other naked kids, and I was horrified, but I got used to it, and within 6 months I became another black frog. But at the beginning it was terrifying. So they played all sorts of jokes on me. And they called me a Jäger. So in Germany I was a lousy Jew, and in Palestine I was a lousy German. Jäger really translated means a Jew that has great difficulty in understanding.
What kind of jokes?
Pardon?
What kind of jokes would they play on you?
Oh, they sent me to the lul, which is a chicken coop, and take chicken shit and bring it to somebody in the vegetable garden who were laughing at. And they played many of those jokes on me. And I did it because I thought I had no choice and I didn't want to show that I was chicken. But it took me 6 months before I started to get used, learn the language. Everybody talked Hebrew except me. So it was very difficult for the first 6 months. And all boys who were something worked either in the falcha, which was working with horses and tractors and growing meat, or in the cow stable. And the girls worked in the flower garden or in the vegetable garden. And they sent me to the flower garden, which was an insult on top of everything else. But within 6 months, I was working in the falcha. School in itself was a very interesting period, which I really enjoyed, because I really, like I mentioned, who was a horse.
What was the name of the horse?
Amon. and he was a beautiful black Arabian. And the first time I saw him, I went to him and caressed his nose and his forehead, and he nibbled me, and I ran out to the vegetable garden, stole some carrots, brought them back, gave him carrots. We became the best friends, and while I was feeding him the carrots, a guy came running and said, "Get away from this house, he's a killer." As it turned out, we became good friends, and for the first time I was able to ride him. I actually was able to put a harness on him, and I used him as a plow horse. We became buddies, and as long as I was there, Hausman and I became the greatest of friends. And we spent every day together, some time at least. Eventually, I remember, I don't know how or when it happened, they asked me whether I wanted to take over the cow stable. There were 60 cows who had hoof and mouth disease, and I ran that stable quite efficiently, and it's amazing. I had to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, went there, mucked out the stalls, fed the cows, and interesting enough, I knew every cow by name, and I thought all cows look alike, and they do not. They really are very distinctly different from each other, different habits. Some of them gave more milk, some gave less milk, some were friendly, some were ornery. But I really loved to work there, and I remember a friend of mine told me every time I came back from there for breakfast, I said, "You stunk." It was absolutely unbearable. And I always came from a shower. I really took a shower every time before coming for breakfast. But I guess it goes right into your skin. We were 4 guys in one room, and I only found out from a friend of mine who was not in our group, but he was in group C, his name is Ivan Sachs, that none of our buildings, we had one building with one room next to each other, no toilet. The toilet was in a main bathroom, toilet complex, a building by itself, about 200 yards away. So I do not remember ever getting up at night or during the day and going to the toilet. But that's where the toilet was. I've been raking my head for years. Where was the toilet? They had no toilet. The toilet was in a toilet building. And it is interesting that in Hebrew, the name for a toilet is Beit HaKisei, house of toilets, house of seats. And I don't remember how it looked. All I remember vaguely is the shower and the utter embarrassment I had when I first went there naked to take a shower, and everybody looked at me, and they were all very brown and healthy looking, and I was skinny. I told you that before. Yeah. And one of the things that still vividly remember the riding Amon. I rode him every day. I rode him bareback. I don't remember even having a saddle. I didn't need a saddle. I remember once I rode him into the fields, and he must have tripped in the home, and he fell, and I flew through the air. And my first thought was, oh my God, if he broke his leg, he would die. You know, you had to shoot horses then. Now they can heal it. And I ran over, but he jumped up, and he was well. So I got on him again, and we kept on riding.